Insurance demand experiment, comparing crowd working to the lab. We analyzed an insurance demand experiment conducted in two different settings, in person at the university laboratory and online using a crowd working platform. Subject demographic differ across the samples, but average insurance demand is similar. However, choice patterns suggest online subjects are less cognitively engaged, they have more variation in their demand and react less to changes in exogenous factors of the insurance situation. Applying data qualify filters doesn't lead to more comparable demand patterns between the samples. Additionally, while online subject pass comprehension question at the same rate as in-person subject, they show more random behavior in other questions. We find that online subjects are more likely to engage in course thinking, choosing from a reduced set of options. Our results justify caution in using crowdsourced subjects for insurance demand experiments. We outline some best practices which may help improve data quality from experiment conducted via crowd working platform. The question of why and how individuals purchase insurance contract is one of the most widely studied issues in risk management and insurance research. In behavioral theory, insurance demand often serves as an introductory decision problem to exemplify new theoretical frameworks. Insurance demand is a popular focus in experimental economics due to the relative simplicity of insurance decision and the importance of insurance markets for economic welfare. Research evaluates many important and varied topics, including insurance demand in various situations. Behavioral patterns such as a reaction to framing, the tendency to make decisions in isolation, and the predictive validity of entire theories of decision making. However, experimental research on insurance demand doesn't come without complication. Two common problems are that such studies can be comparatively costly and that the subject pools are typically small and drawn from student population, which raises question of representativeness. Online crowd working platform offer a potential solution to both problems. Researchers can post surveys and experimental tasks on such platform and let the crowd working population be their usually much larger subject pool. While the workers on such platform are not fully representative of the general population, they offer more variable demographic characteristics than the average student population. Further, since hourly wages on crowdsourcing platforms are lower than those for experimental laboratories, experiment can be conducted for less money. These advantages have led many researchers to use crowdsourcing platform for their survey and experimental studies in economic in general and insurance demand in particular. This adoption has spurred some criticism as it is unclear whether the result obtained from studies using online participants can be considered to have the same validity as those obtained in person experimental laboratories. In this paper, we report the result of a large-scale insurance demand experiment carried out both online with crowd workers and in a physical laboratory with a student population. The incentivized tasks require participants to select a level of insurance coverage from 0% to 100% of a fixed potential loss amount. Subject made choices in 12 scenarios that differed in the price of insurance, loading, and probability of suffering the loss. We described the two different samples and analyzed the pattern of insurance choices across the lab and online population. In some ways, the lab and online participant make similar choices. Overall, the difference on average insurance demand between the samples is small. Both groups show the same directional responses to changes in prices and probabilities. These similarities are in line with the study by Goodman et al. 2013 that is largely supportive of crowd working population as a subject pool for behavioral experiment. Goodman et al. Highlight that such online participants tend to produce reliable results that are broadly consistent with average behavior observed in other studies on a number of dimensions, including well-documented decision biases. Our results suggest that studying insurance demand with online participants can be a reliable gauge of average demand and some directional comparative static. Despite the similarity on average choices, however, the online participants display a series of patterns indicative of reduced cognitive engagement and lower decision quality. The online group has a higher standard deviation within each insurance scenarios and react less strongly to exogenous changes in the parameters of the insurance decision. Online participants are also significantly more likely to choose the corner solution of no insurance or full insurance than the lab participant. Additionally, the online subject violate first-order stochastic dominance or FOSD more frequently than in-person subject. Online subjects violate the law of demand or LOD less often, but this is primarily due to choosing the same coverage level in many different scenarios. Differences persist even when controlling for demographic characteristics and risk preferences. We find that standard attention checks are an insufficient filter to limit the sample of online subjects to only attentive ones. Applying additional filters to the sample, such as removing those with faster than average response time or who found the experiment difficult to understand, also doesn't seem to be able to diminish the difference between the samples consistently. Furthermore, applying multiple filters leads to marked reduction in the sample size. The specific patterns in our study offer some new insight about the performance of online participants relative to laboratory subjects that prior studies haven't fully revealed. A well-cited study by Hauser and Schwartz 2016 finds that experienced online participants appear to be more attentive than laboratory participants. They pass attention check questions at higher rates and are more responsive to an experimental variation that relies on small changes to wording in a paragraph. In our study, we similarly find that the online participants pass attention check at nearly the same rates as the laboratory participant and on average have similar insurance demand. Those patterns imply that online participants offer similar response quality as laboratory subjects consistent with the overall message in studies such as Goodman et al. 2013. Yet, we find that the online participants are significantly less responsive to changes in the underlying parameters of the insurance scenario and are significantly more likely to select the extremes of full or no insurance. Our results show that standard attention check questions and even measures such as response time are not necessarily sufficient to detect the underlying cognitive engagement with a potentially challenging task like making insurance choices. We investigate the nature of our online respondent seemingly reduced attention using a structural modeling approach. One potential reason online participants choose corner solution more often is that they are engaging in a course thinking, limiting their decision to a reduced set of options. Thank you.